What's up?
What's happening, people? In this episode of Von Armand DIY, I want to show you how I made this trench coat. These materials I use here, just 3 materials, but I'm going to use a lot of the top material, a lot of black fleece, so I'm going to get into it. So to start off, this is like a piece I cut out. I think this is going to be my back piece actually. I started with this shape here, got the curves to make it form fit around me. Here's the shape I'm gonna cut out for the neckline on the back pieces. I'm gonna have that shape there. Measure like half of my neck width, because that's how you do it for the pattern, neck width. And then there's also with the armholes cut out. And that's pretty much how I cut my back piece actually. Just cut out a shape that I thought was good enough for my armholes and that shape for the top, like the middle of the neck, half the width. And so yeah, this is how I get my back piece. And then also now here I got my front pieces. Got a front piece here, basically like the same shape, but not as exactly the same, as the curves are going to be different compared to the back. But yeah, this is the front piece right here. And basically I'm going to cut out like multiple of these. I'm going to need 4 of each, for the back, for the front, because they're going to be on 2 sides. We're going to have a double layered coat in the end. So once I cut out my multiple pieces, I'm actually just going to place them on top of each other like that, and just cut them like to make sure they're all perfect, exactly the same shape. That'll make this process easier. Then once I do that, I just like play them on top of each other so I know where each of them will go. Then the sewing process, got to sew the shoulders together on 4 times for each piece. And then yeah, do the same down the middle. Well, since the back will go together, you can sew the back together too if you want to get something like this right here. And yeah, that's pretty much how I do the body, honestly. Sewing down the middle of the back pieces, sewing the shoulders of the left and right sides. Like basically the front and back together, front and back together on the other side 2 times, shoulders up and whatnot, all the way across. And the arms, make my way down the sides. Do that for both like the inner and outer layer, inside and outside. Like yeah, it's basically like a kind of repetitive, tedious process a bit. If you're making a double layered coat, you'd have 4 pieces, 2 front, 2 back, and then them again. For the inside part, but like yeah, you just take those, get them all cut out, and basically just gonna put them together eventually, just to make sure they're perfectly the same shape still. You have to do that a lot, really, depending on what part you're at. But once you get them all sewn together, you should have just 2 pieces in the end to put together. And just like I said, yeah, pin them together, trim them down, make sure they're the same shape if you have to. Just do whatever you got to if you want them to be the same, size and shape. And eventually we're just gonna sew them together. For the collar, I'm gonna cut out a shape I want, perfectly in length at the bottom, like how long you want it to be around your neck. And I'm gonna cut out this shape here because I want like a Dracula sort of collar. But that's gonna be the inside out of black felt. For the outside, I'm gonna have leather, a leather look. So I got 2 shapes here. I wanna make sure they're wrong sides are faced out. And I'm gonna sew around the top and the left and right, like right here. See? Got those seams there. And I'm just gonna flip it inside out at the bottom. And when you do that, you have this cover for that felt piece I cut out. This is it right here. For the sleeve cover, basically something on a Western styled coat. I got that shape there for the back. And then I'm gonna have a couple cubes here for front pieces. And yeah, I'm just gonna take those. I'm gonna sew out an extra shape like that and just sew them to the back piece. And I got something like this for the front here. Basically, like I said, it's something on Western coats. And it's totally optional, but you can hem it if you want. But yeah, that's how I have that shape now. For the pockets, I'm gonna have like two of them. So I'm gonna have like two rectangles, perfectly symmetrical for each one, four in total, and then piece for the top there. Basically, I'm gonna like take rectangles for both of them. So two of them together at the bottom and the left and right. So you have kind of like a pocket, basically, like right here. This is like a pocket when it's done. I'm gonna do the same thing with the top, flip it inside out, and then I got like a top piece for my pockets, like a pocket cover basically. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the completed part of my coat, like the top piece, the outside piece, and I'm gonna cut a slit into it, and I'm gonna cut it open, and that's where I'm gonna place the pockets. Make sure the slit is as like big as the pockets, so that when you put it in, it fits perfectly. Basically, you're gonna put the pockets into that slit right there. You also try to line it up too, to where the like pocket cover will be at the top, and flip it inside out, like line it up perfectly. Like you can definitely just flip it out to make sure that when you sew it, it'll come out the way you want it to. It should come out like this after you sew it in, and that's how you pretty much get a pocket. Like I see here, flip it inside out, make sure where it's gonna stay, the like top part of the pocket, not both sides together, just one side on each side of the slit in the jacket on the outside of the jacket, and that's how you get like a pocket sewn in here. And you see, I open the pocket up, open with the jacket slit. I can tuck that in with the jacket cover still out, and now that's how I have a pocket. Now, when attaching this, it's a little tricky because I can't show y'all since I don't have a tripod really, so I don't have no way. But basically, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna try to like line this up in between the necklines of the inside and outside pieces of your jacket so far, like what I had. I'm just gonna like with the seams inside out on both sides too, so that when you flip it over, they're hidden on the inside. You just try to line them up and basically just sew them like down right there across basically with the sleeve covering too, and that's how I attach that thing on the inside. But don't make your way all the way around. Now this part I don't like since it'll probably not make it look as neat, but I wasn't happy with how long it was on me since I'm actually really tall. I'm just gonna have to take some really long rectangles and sew them to the bottom of the both pieces, the inside and outside, like this right here. It's pretty much what I have to do if I want it to be perfectly length for me, because I feel like it looks a lot better with the silhouette. So you should make your way all the way around from where you inserted your collar and flip it inside out. And then now you have something like this here. I'm gonna follow that pattern I just showed to make the arms. So I'm gonna mark around the armholes on the from the jacket. And then I'm just like gonna try to eye it. I'm not gonna cut two pieces like the pattern showed. I'm just gonna try to eye it with them together since it's probably only separate to keep that like a curved shape. But I'm just gonna do this instead. I'm probably gonna do it next time and when I get the chance. So you're gonna make four of those for inside and outside of each sleeve. She got four of those, and then sew them together, of course, and I got four. For the cuffs, depending on how long you had your fabric, I didn't have mine like perfectly long enough, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna have to use two separate pieces of black fabric, as you see here. I'm gonna hand them at the top. I'm gonna sew them together on one side, and I'm actually gonna put in them some blades for like Batman, those like blades on his gauntlets. I'm just gonna cut a shape with with like fabric on the wrong side, flip them out, and then I have them like that, and I'm just gonna sew them in the cuffs. Now, for attaching the cuffs, it's the same as like attaching the collar to the jacket. You're just gonna have to try to like line them up perfectly in between each sleeve, each part of the sleeve, inside and outside. Just like line them up to where when you sew it on the inside around and flip it out, it'll come out looking neatly, basically, is what you want to do. It'll be attached and neat when it's flipped out. And that's how you basically get a clean cuff attached to the sleeve. It's like lining up in the middle, like you see here. Probably the method I used was wrong. Was like the seam allowance outside, facing outside while the cuff is in between. And like I said, just sew around the top and flip it inside out, and it should be like this, basically. That's how I basically put my cuffs in my sleeves. So these are my sleeves when they're done. hmm So like, yeah, these are my sleeves when they're done. And all I'm gonna do is just line them up with the armholes of the jacket, basically. Just like, yeah, these cuffed sleeves with those three triangles to look like Batman. And just line them up with the jacket and sew them together. For the buttons, I'm going to choose the left side since I put in buttons with my right hand. I'm going to make some marks on the left side, seam rip open some holes, and use a good stitch style around it for support. And the next thing I'm going to do after I have those holes done, mark where I want to put my buttons to match with the holes. I'm going to sew those on. And then after that, the next thing I did was I just choose where to sew down my sleeve cover after it sticks out from the collar, and it's done. So this is my homemade trench coat that I made, like just adding things of my own. Dracula collar lapel, storm cover, storm sleeve cover, like I'm fucking Sherlock Holmes or some shit. My Batman kind of gauntlets, and just that storm cover just draping over my shoulders, like I'm fucking like giving a Jeepers Creepers vibe. But yeah, this is just my trench coat, and I'm going to show you how I've enjoyed it throughout Spooky Month. Here's me in Spirit Halloween, Jason masking a chainsaw, Jason masking a machete, and here's some I took at Walmart, actually. Love how my coat looks with that. Here's after I saw a re-release of Scream this month, so I'm going to take some pictures with my coat as Ghostface. Here's me with a Ghostface mask and knife. Here's after I saw Candyman this month too, R.I.P. Tony Todd. But he had that trench coat, so I wore this. And then here's some photos I took of me with a fake like toy hook. And then here's after I saw a Nightmare on Elm Street. Didn't get a photo in this, but I have that coat with my silhouette, hat, and glove. And after I saw the Black Phone 2, here's just a picture of me in front of a poster of my coat. And remember, dead is just a word. Happy Halloween.